So this weekend, I got to participate in the Halo Infinite Test Flight multiplayer demo, and I spent a good amount of time playing it now, and I just sort of wanted to go over my thoughts and general experiences on what I played. Just for the record, I am only really experienced with the original Halo trilogy. I did complete Reach, but I don't really remember a whole lot of it. Mostly my knowledge comes from the original 3 Halo games. So just keep that in mind. Everything that I am talking about, I'm only going off of my knowledge of the original Halo games. And yeah, if you're someone who sort of fell out of love with the Halo franchise after 343 took over the development for the game, then this video is especially for you. So without any further delay, let's get right into it. Okay, so right off the bat, when it comes to the demo, you really only had 2 things to do in terms of gameplay. You had a Team Slayer option, which would put you in one of 2 different maps, and you would be paired with other players as you fight against bots. And then you had weapon drills, which was basically a shooting range that lets you test out each weapon in this sort of live shooting range challenge. I actually really like this mode because it not only allowed me to familiarize myself with other weapons that I wasn't used to, but it helped make the transition from Xbox to PC gameplay much easier. Traditionally with Halo, I am much more familiar with controller inputs, but with this particular demo, I played it on PC, so it was really nice to have that sort of practice to be able to transition from controller inputs to keyboard and mouse. The only thing with weapons drills that I would like to see changed is the AI for the bots. The AI for the bots in the shooting range is decent enough, and they do move around a bit, but I do wish that I could see a bit more improvements with dynamic movements, something more akin to what you might see in multiplayer. Just something a little bit more dynamic with the movement set, and just something a little bit more challenging to really help hone my skills with the different weapons. Other than that, I do genuinely hope that this stays in the actual finished game and isn't just something for the demo experience. I do think this is a great way for people to get familiarized with the different guns and to practice your shooting in the game. And if new weapons do end up getting added later on in the future, this would be a cool way to get more familiar with them. All right, so now let's talk about the multiplayer aspect of the demo. Like I said before, the only game type available was Team Slayer. With this game mode, you'd get put into one of 2 maps, and that's Live Fire or Recharge. Live Fire was this outdoor, almost outpost type of map, somewhat circular in shape, but it also had a decent amount of verticality to it, allowing for lots of different options for retreat or for flanking the enemy. For this map, I thought the weapon locations were in appropriate positions, allowing for interesting firefight moments. It honestly just felt like a solid, more traditional Halo-style multiplayer map, and I enjoyed it. The other map available was Recharge, and this was sort of a interior sci-fi type of map, more asymmetrical in design, and it had a lot of verticality. If you like a more closed-feeling map with lots of action, this is definitely a map that you would enjoy. There's a more open area in one of the parts of the map where a lot of the combat seemed to take place, but around it there were plenty of corridors, stairwells, and the like, allowing you to quickly get around the enemy or obtain the higher ground. In my opinion, it's a cool map, and honestly one of the more difficult ones for me because things get chaotic quickly on this one. I really think this map would be awesome in a more traditional Slayer free-for-all match. As far as the overall gameplay is concerned with the multiplayer, I was pleasantly surprised. I was honestly worried that the game would feel a bit too modern, too fast-paced, and more COD-like, but speaking from my own personal experiences anyway, this felt like old-school Halo with a few quality-of-life improvements. As a lot of modern shooters go, you have ledge climbing, sliding, and sprinting, but as far as the overall movement goes, it feels like Halo. It does a really good job at balancing that slower movement speed but high energy combat that the Halo franchise was really well known for. I liked how, at least with what I played, there weren't any specific loadouts to make. Played much more like a traditional arena shooter with weapons and equipment having to be found by exploring the map. The gunplay also feels excellent. Again, I stopped playing after Halo Reach, so I don't know if some of these weapons are new or not, but the ones that were new to me were pretty interesting. The Pulse Carbine, for example, which I'm assuming is just sort of a modified version of the carbine rifle from the original Halo trilogy. It has this sort of like interesting tracking type burst shot that's really cool and is definitely my favorite gun in the game. Another cool gun that I'm not sure if it's new or not, but it stood out to me was the Skewer. It's basically like this spike cannon that shoots similar to a sniper rifle. Basically, whatever you hit with this gun, it's gonna die instantly. but it does have a really slow reload time, so be sure not to miss your first shot. Moving on to the performance of this game, as far as performance goes, I didn't really experience any issues as far as graphical glitches or anything like that, no hard crashes or anything. The only issue I seem to encounter is regarding frame rates. Now, my computer has a RTX 2060 in it, and I'll put the rest of the specs on the screen for you right now. When I set the game at ultra settings across the board, I couldn't get anything higher than 30 frames per second. It looked great texture-wise, but frame rates were not too good. And with a first-person shooter, I always try to prioritize frame rates over texture quality. But the weird part is no matter what preset I would set it to, whether low, medium, or high, the frame rate didn't seem to vary too much. At least not what you would come to expect. Now, in the settings, you can set a minimum threshold for frame rates and have the game sort of dynamically adjust the resolution to make up for that. But that still didn't seem to get the desired results that I was looking for. And then on top of that, the dynamic resolution just ended up making the game look really blurry and really messy. I'm not really sure if it's just because it's a demanding game or if this is just an issue with PC optimization, but from my understanding, this game is supposed to run 4K 60 FPS on the Xbox Series X, so I don't think I should be having any issues trying to get 60 frames per second on a 1440p monitor. Frame rates aside, if you were one of the people that saw the infamous E3 showcase and were worried about how the graphics look, you don't need to worry. Overall, the graphics, the lighting, the weapon effects, they all look great. I thought the level designs and the details were really nice, and yeah, as far as fidelity is concerned and graphics and all that sort of thing, I had no complaints. My only issue was regarding the performance from frame rate. So because Halo Infinite is going to be free to play for the multiplayer side of things, 343 has implemented microtransactions and a battle pass system. All this stuff is for unlocking different cosmetic options for stuff like weapons and armor. And I honestly didn't spend too much time looking at this because in reality, I don't participate with microtransactions and I don't buy battle passes. But with this multiplayer demo event thing, I was given some free in-game currency to look around the store. And although I likely won't be spending any real world money on this stuff, all of the different customizable weapons, armor, and personal AI options are all super cool, and there's tons of stuff to collect and unlock for those things, so I don't think you'll have any problem finding things to grind for. And yeah, that's sort of my immediate impressions of what I experienced this weekend with this Halo multiplayer demo event. I tried to cover all of the experience that I had, and yeah, if there's something that I didn't talk about that you had questions about, feel free to let me know in the comments down below, and I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. But yeah, that about does it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching this video and checking out the channel. Whether or not you like this video, let us know by leaving a like or a dislike down below, and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new around here, and ring that notification bell icon to stay up to date on everything that we're doing. Feel free to hit us up on any of our social media platforms, and consider joining our Discord community server linked in the description down below. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. My name is Blake, and for all things tech, games, movies, to anything nerdy in between, be sure to subscribe to Digital Cynics. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you next time.